So let's start today's lecture. So you recall we had written down the Cauchy integral formula in maybe the second lecture or the third lecture. We had the Cauchy integral theorem, and also the from that theorem we could prove this one. So the statement of the, is it visible? Is it okay? So the statement
Yes,
of
sir.
the theorem was that if fz is analytic in some region bounded by a simple closed contour, then the contour integral of fz, obviously there is a dz here, fz by z minus z naught dz is 2 pi I f of z naught. This was the theorem, and this followed from the theorem, from the Cauchy integral theorem, for an analytic function, that is the contour integral of fz dz is 0. So this actually led us to this result. So if you remember this result, you will also get this particular result. So if it is analytic, if your integrand is analytic, then there is no problem. The contour integral will be 0. And if your integrand has a simple pole, so you can see that you can call this function fz by z minus z naught as gz, and although fz is an analytic function in this region bounded by the closed contour C, but gz is not an analytic function because it has a singularity at z is equal to z naught, and let us assume that this singularity is within the region bounded by the closed contour, falls inside the region bounded by the closed contour. So this function gz is not analytic, and the result that we got was this. Now let us do one thing. Let us calculate, since gz is not an analytic function, so let us calculate the residue of gz at z naught, residue of g at z naught. Okay, let us do this calculation, and you know that gz has a simple pole at z is equal to z naught. Therefore, you know how to evaluate it. It is basically limit z tending to z naught, z minus z naught of gz. But what is gz? So this is the formula for to calculate the residue of some function at at an isolated singular point, and this isolated singular point is a simple pole. So this is the formula for evaluating the residue of such a function at the singular point. And gz is f of z by z minus z naught. So this will, and this factor will cancel, and in the limit you see that this becomes f of z naught. So you see that the residue of g at z naught is basically f of z naught, and therefore what you can write is the following. I put an arrow like this to indicate the orientation along which you traverse the curve. So this is a positive anti-clockwise orientation. So what we have is the following result, that gz is not an analytic function. It may have singularities. It has in fact singularities, and this is therefore equal to, you can see that this is equal to 2 pi I f of z naught. But what is f of z naught? F of z naught is residue of g at z naught. This is a very crucial result. I just proved it from here, from a very simple from a very simple example, I showed that this f of z naught that you have is nothing but the residue of this function of the integrand gz at the point z is equal to z naught, and therefore you can write in general that gz dz contour integral over a closed contour C is basically equal to 2 pi I residue g at z naught, residue of the function g evaluated at z naught. And this is called the residue theorem. This is a very important theorem, and it helps us to calculate many integrals, real integrals, complex integrals, or whatever. You can calculate contour integrals of analytic functions using this theorem, and you can also calculate many other real integrals. By real integrals, I mean that integrals involving functions of real variables. This theorem can be used, complex analysis can be used in order to calculate such integrals, and in many cases you can calculate many difficult kind of integrals involving functions of real variable, and complicated kinds of integrals using the techniques of complex analysis, more precisely using the Cauchy residue theorem. So this is called the Cauchy residue theorem. We shall prove this result more rigorously later on. As we move further, we shall prove this result once again. But just remember that this is the statement of the, or this is the result of the theorem. Dz dz contour integral is 2 pi I residue of g at z naught. So you just need to calculate. So what is the technique? You locate or you find out the poles or the singularities of this function and calculate the residues at those singularities of the function at those singularities, and then add all the contributions from all. This function may have several singularities, may have several poles. Calculate all the simple poles, residues at the simple poles, and then just add it up. So here this thing had only one simple pole, and therefore it is just the residue of g at this simple pole. But in general, if the function has multiple singularities, and they may be simple pole or they may be poles of order k, so the result will be that you have to just calculate the residues at each of the singularities and then add it up, and therefore the general result is this. We shall prove it later, but you can see the result already in a very simple setting. So this is gz dz is 2 pi I summation over all the residues. You have to calculate the contributions of all the residues and add it up. Okay. So this is one thing that I wanted to show you. We shall prove another important formula now. This is quite important. And the formula is the following. You already remember that. Let me write it. So can you see this part of the board?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, let me just once again write down the result, that fz z minus z naught is equal to 2 pi I f of z naught. Now, the result that I am going to prove, so this is the following: fn z naught is equal to n factorial by 2 pi I obviously there is a dz here, so fz dz by z minus z naught to the power of n plus 1. So this is the general result. What is fn of z naught? This is the nth order derivative of the function z, of the function f of z, and then you calculate the nth order derivative and then evaluate it at z is equal to z naught. So this is fn z naught, and that is equal to this. So let us prove it for, say, n is equal to 1. So let us calculate what f prime z naught is. So what I am doing is I am just trying to prove this result, and then you can, if you can prove this result for n is equal to 1, then you can prove it by induction. By the method of mathematical induction, you can prove this result. So f prime z naught, this is by definition okay. By definition, f prime of z naught is limit delta z naught tending to 0, f z naught plus delta z naught minus f z naught divided by delta z naught. This is the standard definition of derivative of a function evaluated at the point z naught. Now, let us apply this theorem. So this is the theorem that we have already proved a couple of classes back, right? This is the theorem that we have already seen. Let us apply this theorem. You can now write this as delta z naught tending to 0 1 by delta z naught. This function f z naught plus delta z naught, you can write this down as 1 by 2 pi I f z dz right. So I am writing this thing. So I am applying this theorem. F z naught plus delta z naught is 1 by 2 pi I f z dz z minus z naught minus delta z naught. So I have just written this thing, this part using this theorem as a contour integral. Minus, once again, f of z naught can be very simply written. F of z naught is this. So this is 1 by 2 pi I f z dz by this. Okay. So I have just replaced this and this factor by using this theorem as contour integrals. Now, you can further simplify this as limit delta z naught tending to 0. You can take 1 by 2 pi I common. If z you can take f of z common inside the contour integral. Right? You can write it in this way. I'll just combine these two contour integrals. If you simplify further, this will give us z minus z naught minus delta z naught z minus z naught dz, and in the numerator what we shall get is z minus z naught minus z minus z naught minus delta z naught. So you can immediately see that z naught and z naught, these two things will cancel and only delta z naught will survive. Delta z naught, you can pull it outside the contour integral and that delta z naught will cancel this delta z naught. Finally, we shall have limit delta z naught tending to 0 1 by 2 pi I contour integral f z dz divided by z minus z naught minus delta z naught z minus z naught. This is what we shall have. Now you can take the limit delta z naught tending to 0. So if you take the limit going delta z naught going to 0, then you can just get rid of this and you can remove this delta z naught. Therefore, you have z minus z naught multiplied here. So this will give us z minus z naught whole square. And now you compare, see what we have got. We have got f prime z naught is equal to 1 by 2 pi I contour integral fz dz z minus z naught whole square. So for n is equal to 1, we have proved the result. If you set n is equal to 1 here, so this will be f prime z naught. This will be 1 factorial. So this is 1 by 2 pi I contour integral c fz dz by z minus z naught whole square. So we have proved it for n is equal to 1. You can keep on doing this process. You can now try to calculate f prime z naught, and you keep on doing this process. You will see, you will reproduce the result for n is equal to 2. Now you just assume that the result holds for any arbitrary n, and then you prove it for, you just assume that the result holds for n is equal to n, and then you prove that if you assume that the result holds for n is equal to n, then it is also true for n is equal to n plus 1. And therefore, since it holds for n is equal to 1, therefore it holds for n is equal to 2, therefore it holds for n is equal to 3, and therefore it holds for any n. And this is known as the method of mathematical induction, and in this way you can prove this result. So this is also a very nice result. You calculate the derivatives of an analytic function the derivatives of an analytic function using the contour integral. So this is how you can calculate. In general, you will actually not calculate derivatives of an analytic function using a contour integral. Practically, you will not use this formula. This formula is quite cumbersome. To calculate derivatives, you just proceed in the ordinary way in which we calculate derivatives of a function. So you will proceed in that way. You will not convert it. You will not use this formula basically, because this formula is quite tedious to calculate. But you can in principle do it, but you will not do it. But this formula, although it is not of practical importance, but it is very important theoretically, because this formula helps us to prove the Taylor series expansion. And we will see how we can use this result to prove the Taylor series expansion now. Because I told you in the previous discussions that I shall prove the Taylor series expansion rigorously, and let us do it today. Once we prove the Taylor series expansion rigorously, we shall then prove the Laura series expansion rigorously. In the previous discussions, we have seen examples of Laura series expansion. Given a function, how you can expand it in a Laura series. If a function has singularities, isolated singularities, and given a function, analytic function, how you can expand it in a Taylor series expansion. We have seen these things. We have seen examples of these things. But today we shall prove the Taylor series expansion first. So let me write down the statement of the Taylor series theorem once again. Taylor series, if fz is analytic, if fz is analytic in drz naught, you know what this means now. By now, this is basically the neighborhood around the point z naught. This neighborhood, basically the z naught is the center of the circle and r is the radius of the circle. So you have a circle. This is the neighborhood around that point, and in this region the function fz is analytic. We are assuming that if it is analytic, then fz can be expanded in a power series, can be represented or expanded, whatever, represented by a series of powers of z minus z naught for all z belonging to this neighborhood. So this is the statement of the Taylor series theorem. If fz is analytic in this region around this point z naught, then fz can be represented by a series of powers of z minus z naught for all z belonging to, for all the points belonging to that region. And we have already seen examples of Taylor series expansion. As we move on, we shall work out some more examples because you need more practice. And as I have suggested to you, please take any book on mathematical physics or mathematical methods or engineering mathematics or some dedicated book on complex analysis, complex variable analysis. Take any book and try to work out some problems from that book. But we shall also try to work out problems in the class, and you also do it at home, because unless you practice this, you will not be able to master these things. So let us now proceed to prove this theorem. So in order to prove this theorem, let us consider this quantity w minus z. And let me draw a picture first. I hope this is visible. Yes. So this point is z naught. And what is dr z naught? So this is the radius of this neighborhood. And dr z naught is everything on this circle as well as inside this circle. This is the region. Okay. So this circle is a circle of radius capital R with center at z naught, and that is dr z naught. All the points inside that circle and on the circumference of the circle belongs to this dr z naught. Okay. And let us now and let omega for w be a point on this closed contour. And let us say that we are traversing this circle in the positive orientation. Okay. It may not be important in this case, but let me just write it down for convenience. So what is this thing? So since w is a point on this the circumference, so this is omega minus z naught. So mod of omega minus z naught is basically equal to r, capital R, right? Because that is the radius. And let us take any point z here, and this thing is nothing but z minus z naught. Okay. Okay, good. Now let us look at 1 by w minus z. Let us take this quantity and try to expand it. So you can write this quantity as, this is just an algebraic manipulation. You can write this quantity as w minus z naught minus z minus z naught. This is same as the 1 by w minus z. And now we take w minus z naught outside. Therefore, just a minute. Okay. We write this thing in this way. Please note that since z is a point inside, therefore z minus z naught modulus, that means the distance between the point z and the center z naught of the circle, the distance between these 2 points will be always less than the modulus, will be always less than the modulus of w minus z naught, which is nothing but the radius of the circle, capital R. Okay, please keep this in mind because this will be very important. So you can see that this z minus z naught, as I mentioned, that this factor is always less than 1 because z minus z naught is less than w minus z naught. Modulus value is less than 1, and therefore you can expand it in a series because you must be knowing this thing in your elementary school algebra that 1 plus x to the power of minus 1 can be expanded, or 1 minus x, let me write it for convenience, 1 plus x square plus dot dot dot, and this holds for mod x less than 1. So this is called the radius of convergence of this series, right? This is called the radius of convergence of this series. The radius of convergence is mod x is less than 1. So 1 is the radius of convergence of this series, and this is basically nothing but this is an infinite GP series with common ratio x less than 1. And that you can write it down as 1 minus x. You can sum the series exactly, and that is 1 minus x to the power of minus 1. You can do the same thing here. You can expand it in a binomial expansion. You can expand it, and if you expand this, what you will get is the following. I will not have enough space there, so I'm writing it on this side of the board. So this is equal to 1. This is omega minus z naught, and now I want to expand this part. Therefore, I will just write it down as 1 plus z minus z naught by omega minus z naught plus z minus z naught whole square, or you can take this down in this way, z minus z naught omega minus z naught whole square plus dot 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 plus z minus z naught by omega or w minus z naught to the power of n minus 1 plus some term that I call Rn z comma w. Okay. And what is this Rn z comma w? Let me write down the expression for it, and you will see that why you can write it in this way. This Rn z comma w is equal to 1 divided by 1 minus z naught w minus z naught. You have this factor, and then you can write this down as z minus z naught w minus z naught to the power of n. This term is nothing but this term. Now you can ask that how did you write this expression for that object that we have written down? This has been written down. You remember the quantity that we expanded, right? You please keep the expression in mind. And what we have expanded is 1 minus z naught by w minus z naught. So the expansion of this function is the thing that I have written down here with Rn. This term is being given by this expression. Okay, so that is the thing that we have written down. So you please remember the quantity that we have expanded, and why would we expand it in this way? If you call this quantity as R, so let me call R as z minus z naught by w minus z naught, then you have a very simple identity, and using that identity you can, we have basically written down this expression. You can basically write it down as 1 plus r square plus dot 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 plus r to the power of n minus 1 plus r to the power of n by 1 minus r. So if r is this, then 1 divided by 1 minus r, that is the quantity that we are trying to expand, can be written down in this way. You can please, if you want, you can check it. Because this, from here to here, this is nothing but a GP series, a finite GP series. Sum it up, add it up with this expression, you will get 1 by 1 minus r. And that is why we have written this quantity in this way, where r and z comma w is basically this. You can see that this expression is nothing but this part is 1 divided by 1 minus r, which is this one, and this is nothing but r to the power of n. Is it clear? Is this expansion clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Good. So, if this expansion is clear, now the rest is very simple. Now you don't need to worry anymore. You can just convince yourself at home that this expansion is correct. Now you just use the Cauchy integral theorem, and you remember that you remember the formula that we have just proved. We have proved Fn z naught to be equal to 1 by 2 pi I contour integral over the closed contour C f z dz by z minus z naught to the power of n plus 1. This is the result that we have proved. Contour integral. Okay. Please remember. So this is the thing that we have just proved now. And now what we shall do is we shall apply this. We shall just replace z by z naught by z, and this z by w, because the formula, the z that was here, runs on the contour, right? Those are points on the contour C. Therefore, points. What are the points on the contour? W. So I replace z by w, and here we have w minus z to the power of n plus 1. So z is a point inside the contour, therefore w minus z to the power of n plus 1, and that will be equal to the nth order derivative of the analytic function evaluated at the point z. So this is the Cauchy integral formula, and for n is equal to 1, we know that this will be, for what is n is equal to 0? N is equal to 0 is the initial formula that I showed you. N is equal to 0 means there is no derivative. It is just ordinary. It is just the function itself. For n is equal to 1, this is basically f prime of z, and that is equal to 1 by 2 pi I contour integral if w dw by w minus z squared. This is the formula that we have just proved today at the beginning of the class. So what we shall do is we shall apply the Cauchy integral theorem to this thing. And let us do that now. So, okay. So for n is equal to 0, let me write it down once again here. For n is equal to 0, this is f of z, that is 1 by 2 pi I contour integral C f w dz by w minus z. Okay. So this is the Cauchy integral theorem, and from here you can prove this general result, on which basically gives you the derivatives of the analytic function. So f of z is basically this, and what we have is this expression for 1 by w minus z. What we shall do is plug in So this was 1 by w minus z. So we shall substitute this expression in this integral, inside this contour integral, and see what happens. So if you do that, we shall get the following. So we have f of z is 1 by 2 pi I contour integral over the closed contour C fw. Oh, this is dw. This is dw. dw, and then you have 1 divided by w minus z, but 1 divided by w minus z is this expression, so we just plug it, put it inside the integral, and we shall get this is w minus z naught 1 plus z minus z naught by w minus z naught plus z minus z naught by w minus z naught whole square plus dot 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 plus z minus z naught by w minus z naught to the power of n minus 1. And then we have, let me just remove this thing now, we don't need this expression anymore because we have substituted it in the Cauchy integral formula theorem, and the last term is good. So this is f of z. The expression for f of z is basically this. What is the first term? The first term is f omega f w dw divided by w minus z naught contour integral. And what is that? What is the formula for that? The formula for that is you will have a 2 pi I, 2 pi I and 2 pi I will cancel, and this will give us f at z naught. The first term, this thing multiplied by 1, if you do the integral by the Cauchy integral theorem, it is nothing but f of z naught, where I have taken into account the factor. So this 1 by 2 pi I, this full thing is the Cauchy integral theorem, so f of z, we get f of z naught. What is the second term? The second term is z minus z naught has nothing to do with this contour integral, right? Because the contour integral involves points on the contour, and the points on the contour are denoted by w. Remember this diagram. So z minus z naught, you can pull it outside the integral, because the integral is not on z, it is on w. Z minus z naught goes outside, and then we have 1 by 2 pi I contour integral C f w dw by w minus z naught whole square. What is this? This thing is nothing but f prime at z naught. We have just now proved this result. You keep on doing this thing, the next term that you will get is 1 by 2 factorial z minus z naught square f double prime z naught plus dot 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 plus the n minus 1th term, that will give us n minus 1 z minus z naught to the power of n minus 1. And then you have the last term, this rnz comma w term. And what is that term? That term is nothing but z minus z naught to the power of, okay, let me just, so if you, this term will give us, if you just put in the value of z rnz comma w, just put in the value of rnz comma w here, you will, and simplify the expression. If you simplify it, you will get the following result. It will be z minus z naught to the power of n by 2 pi I Then you will have a contour integral over the contour C. And then we will have FW dW divided by W minus Z W minus Z and W minus Z naught to the power of n. So is this okay? Did you follow this? Have you followed this?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So what we have done is,
Sir,
yes,
the n minus 1th term should be 1 by n minus 1 factorial. N minus 1th term.
n minus 1th term, yes.
1 by n.
Yes.
1 by n minus 1 factorial. Z minus Z naught whole to the power n minus 1. Yes, sir.
Yes, I have just, this was a typo. This was a typo. I just copied it and pasted it. So I just copied this factor and pasted it over here. So this was a mistake. This was an error. So this should be your. So this shows that you are following. This factor will be the n minus 1th derivative. Correct. So we have followed this part. We have used the Cauchy integral theorem, and the last term is this involving Rn z comma w. If you just put in the expression of Rn z comma w, then you can write down the last term in this way. Okay. So this is what we have got. F of z is f of z naught plus all these terms to n minus 1, and then this is the last term. Now let us concentrate on the last term. Let us now look at the last term. So let me call z minus z naught mod to be equal to r, and w minus z naught mod is capital R. Okay? And we know that fz is analytic. The function f of z is analytic on the contour and as well as inside the contour. It is an analytic function. So it is differentiable. The Cauchy-Riemann conditions hold. And now let capital M be equal to the maximum value of f of z for z on C. If z falls on the contour C, then let capital M be the maximum. There will be different values of the function on the contour. Let capital M be the maximum of those values when z is on the contour C. Now let us see what is w minus z mod. Why we are looking at w minus z? Because you see that w minus z, this combination appears here in the last term. So that is why we are looking at the modulus of that term, w minus z. So this is, you can write it down as w minus z naught minus z minus z naught. Okay, you can write it in this way. But now there is a very nice inequality involving these kind of things, and this inequality is the following: that if this is a complex number, this is a complex number. So modulus of z1 minus z2 is basically greater than or equal to modulus of z1 minus modulus of z2. So this is w minus z naught minus z minus z2. But what is w minus z naught? That is capital R. So this is equal to r minus small r. This particular expression is r minus small r. So it basically tells us that modulus of w minus z is greater than or equal to r minus small r. This is one thing. Now let us take the modulus of this last term, the full term. Let us take the modulus of that. I will just remove the top part of the board. So let us look at this term and take the modulus of this term. 2 pi I contour integral over C and take the modulus of this. So if you take the modulus of this, you can immediately see that this will be less than or equal to, see, omega are point, W are points on the contour, right? So this will be, and what we have taken is that we have assumed that capital M is the maximum value of the function for points which lie on the contour. Therefore, the maximum, if you just notice that this z minus z naught whole to the power of n, this is basically nothing but this I mod is 1, so you can get rid of that. So from here you will get 1 by 2 pi in the denominator. This will give you a small r to the power of n, because this is z minus z naught whole to the power of n. Modulus of that is r, so this will give you a small r to the power of n. Fw, the maximum value of Fw is capital M. So this integral, whatever it is, the modulus value of that must be less than or equal to that value. So this is because this is the maximum of that. So you will get a capital M over here. Now you have this factor W minus Z. So modulus of that is greater than or equal to capital R minus small r. So this implies that 1 divided by W minus Z. So if you just invert it, then that will be less than or equal to this thing. That will be less than or equal to R minus small r, because this is greater than or equal to this. So if any inverts it, you will get this thing. Therefore, this, you just write it down, R minus small r. And what is W minus Z naught whole to the power of n? This is R. The modulus of that is R, this one. Therefore, this is 1 by R to the power of n. So the modulus of this quantity is basically less than or equal to this. And so everything has gone out. And now you are left with only the contour integral d omega. And what will that give us? That will give us a simple 2 pi r. The circumference, it will give us a 2 pi r. So this 2 pi and this 2 pi cancels. So this is equal to M R by R minus small r by capital R to the power of n. Okay. But what is small r by capital R? Small r by capital R is less than 1. And as you go on, as n tends to infinity, if n tends to infinity, this expression will tend to 0. For n tending to infinity, this will go to 0. What it basically means is that for any epsilon, greater than 0, epsilon may be very small, but it is a positive quantity. For any epsilon greater than 0, there exists a n epsilon greater than 0 there exists an integer, a positive integer. There exists an integer n epsilon such that this thing, this modulus of this full quantity less than is epsilon is less than epsilon for small n greater than n epsilon equal to n epsilon. So the statement that when n going to infinity, this term on the right hand side approaches 0, basically means is that what it means is the following: for any epsilon greater than 0, there exists a positive integer n epsilon such that this quantity less than epsilon will hold for any for a n which is greater than n epsilon. And you can basically choose epsilon arbitrarily small, but you keep on choosing epsilon smaller and smaller. But what this tells us is that for whatever epsilon you choose, however small it might be, there will always be an integer which is n, which depends on this epsilon, such that this quantity less than epsilon, if you want this quantity to be less than epsilon, then this will hold for a small n which is greater than or equal to this n epsilon. So you will always get an n epsilon such that if you choose some n which is greater than n epsilon, this quantity will always be less than epsilon. So this, what it tells you is that this quantity which will approach 0 in the limit n tending to infinity. So what we have actually shown is that this particular quantity in the limit of n tending to infinity will approach 0. So this quantity is gone, and therefore what you have is the following. You have plus dot dot dot. Keep on expanding this. And this last term that you have, that term, you will have further terms, but the last term that you have, that term will be 0 in the limit of n, in the limit n small n going to infinity. And therefore, we basically have expanded this analytic function f of z in the region in which it is analytic in a series of powers of z minus z naught. That is what we have done. And what is the radius of convergence of this power series? The radius of convergence of this power series is z minus z naught less than r. And if it is analytic here on the circle, then the radius of convergence is z minus z naught is less than or equal to r. So you can expand it on the circumference as well as any point inside the region bounded by this circle. The radius of convergence is this, and the function you will not be able to expand it. The series will basically, this power series will diverge if z minus z naught mod is greater than r. So if you take points where the function, the analyticity of the function is lost. So if you take points outside the radius of convergence, then this series will not hold anymore. This series will not be meaningful. It will be a divergent series. But for all points inside this region and on the circumference, which is basically the radius of convergence, this power series will be valid. And this power series is known as the Taylor series expansion. So I think this is a good place to stop here today. If you have any questions at this moment, you can ask me. If you have any doubt regarding the last point that we mentioned, the last point basically tells us that you can choose epsilon to be arbitrarily small, positive but arbitrarily small, but then also there will be an integer that will exist such that if you want that quantity to be smaller than epsilon, there will be always a small n which is greater than that n epsilon, for which this inequality will hold. So that is the last thing that we have done. In other words, it basically tells us that that term approaches 0 in the limit n tending to infinity. So do you have any questions? So what we have done is that we have established the convergence of the Taylor series. So this series will converge in this radius of convergence R, and we have established it. Because this last term, this Rn z comma omega w, this is called the remainder term, and we have shown that that particular remainder term approaches 0 as you take n to small n to infinity in this region radius of convergence. Is this okay? Are you okay with it?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what you do, what I would suggest is that you sit at home and try to see the proofs of this theorem and the results that we have discussed today, and just try to convince yourself that everything is in place, and then try to work out some problems on your own. Okay. So we shall meet on Friday. So let us stop here for today. Thank you very much.